to the Workshop Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and joining me today is my lovely co-host,
Rosie.
Yeah, apparently you've changed your name.
That's what our daughter says my name is all the time when she tells me I'm her friend Rosie. Yep.
Okay. Well,
Tamara. I'm Tamara.
Thank you for letting people know.
There you go.
It's been a month since we uploaded. Actually, it's been a little bit more than a month. Our last episode went live on July 23rd.
Yeah. We're clearly on top of things.
Well, I mean, this will be episode number 96. Do you realize that?
I did not.
Yep. Episode 96. We've taken a couple, 2-week breaks or week breaks here and there, but I will fully admit that at the end of July, beginning of August, I was considering saying this is the end of this, having a week or having a month break.
See, this is what I tell you. This is why teachers need a break in the summer.
Oh, I've never disagreed with you on that.
Many people do, because we go absolutely crazy pants.
I think everybody needs a break. Everybody needs a reset period from whatever they're doing.
But for us especially, because we're alone with your children all day.
You're alone with my children every day.
Yeah, I know, but most people send their children to somebody else.
It's not my fault you made bad life choices. Anyway, so we're back. Recharged. A month break was nice. I did post some things on the Patreon feed, kind of in the meantime. A few resources that I came up with for clients around communication. And
I don't even know what we're talking about today.
Yes, you don't.
I know. It's going to be a surprise.
I think people actually enjoy those ones the most because,
Because I'm unedited and sarcastic.
Yes, because you're unedited and mean to me, and then they all laugh. But yes, we did have multiple new members join on Patreon in the free tier, which was nice to know. And I think that was a bit of a motivation too. It would be more of a motivation if they jumped up to the $1 tier, which isn't a major commitment, but it does make a significant difference. But no pressure.
What pressure?
Maybe a little bit of pressure. It does
You're
take
terrible.
money and time to produce these, and I really do appreciate the patrons who do support us financially. Anyway, maybe we should just give everybody a brief update. Most people who follow on social media know that we're building a house, and that's, of course, progressing at a rapid rate, and everything's
rapid like an iceberg.
Hey, icebergs can move pretty quick when they move. You're thinking glacier, not iceberg. Icebergs move pretty quick. It's moving at a glacier rate.
Glacial rate. I'm hoping for it to break off.
And calve and turn into an iceberg.
Yeah, but icebergs still take forever to actually melt all the way.
It's true, but they do float around and sink ships.
Yes. I'm sticking with iceberg.
Icebergs. Okay. Yes, the house is progressing like an iceberg because it's got no insulation in the attic yet. So it's actually not really like an iceberg in that sense. It's more of, since it's been hot here, it's more...
This is me rolling my eyes at you.
Verbally. Anyway, I thought we'd talk about a couple different things that we've talked about over the last...
That's all we're updating. The house?
Few weeks. The house is progressing. You are back to work.
Yep.
Teaching. Exciting news. You talked to your professor today about your magazine article or your...
I was talking to her about my practicum in January.
But she's the editor of the magazine that you're...
Well, for the fall issue, or the winter issue, there's different issues of the of the magazine.
So what magazine is it that you're going to be famous in?
Why do you see, when you don't plan, then it makes my mind go blank, and I'm like, oh no, what is it called? And I think it's called...
Partially because it's more entertaining this way, in my opinion.
Oh, you drive me crazy. Honest to Pete.
That's why you beat me all the time.
You're a terrible person. Some days I can't make my phone work. It's not good.
It's a professional magazine, right?
Yeah, it's like rethinking behavior, I think. I always say it wrong though. I want to say it's understanding behavior, but I don't think it is. Why is there not
Are you trying to search?
I want to search. Why can I not search? Oh, there it is. Hello.
You're so tech savvy. Always impressed with your ability to navigate tech.
Right? It is not everyone who can be me.
Probably a good thing.
But I don't know. Okay, I'd have to go look. But I'm pretty sure it's rethinking behavior.
So it's not a academic journal, but it is a
It's a
professional
professional
magazine,
magazine.
right?
It's produced by
So it's like it's a step up from your average print magazine, but it's not a peer reviewed research magazine or journal.
yeah, it's not like it's not a research. Rethinking Behavior. It's a free online magazine published 3 times a year for professionals serving children and youth with behavioral needs.
There we go.
There you go. So it's for the Midwest Symposium of Leadership and Behavior too. That's it. So
you're going to be famous.
Oh yes. My free online magazine.
There's going to be
They're writing an article for free. I'm making the no bucks.
The no bucks.
But I'm proud of the article, and anybody who wants to read it
can download
it.
When it goes live, we will
Link
announce and link it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Not of this episode, because I'm not going to go back and find the show notes for this episode and add it to it. I'm just going to talk about it when it goes live, and you can find it then. So follow along. And you've also been invited to the leadership thing for the school division? What was that about?
Yeah, she's just all about asking me. It's late, and this is my first week back at school.
Because I'm proud of you, because you're famous.
I'm exhausted. I'm not famous, but I just participated in a leadership course program, kind of like in I want the words come tonight.
Special education?
Not special education,
because that doesn't exist in Canada.
But not like leadership in
not how to be a principal
leadership, but like in what is the word?
Academic?
Not academic. Leadership in instructional leadership.
Instructional leadership.
Yeah.
Meaning helping other teachers learn instructional strategies for children with neurodivergent needs, basically.
I think that's probably the intent.
Also, multiple universities are recruiting you.
Yeah, well.
Actively recruiting you.
I think I need a little break after I'm done my master's this spring.
So like 6 months. Then you'll be all like, I miss school again.
I do really like school. I am enjoying it. And I'm in school all the time. Like literally all the time. But I have really enjoyed this master's program. And I have to say, University of Kansas is amazing. I have amazing professors. The knowledge, all the stuff has just been awesome. And I'm really enjoying it. And I love how relevant and applicable the information is, right away to I learned this yesterday, I can use this tomorrow.
That is nice. When you get stuck into some theoretical courses, it's harder to...
Yeah, this has been so practical, and professors who go out of the way, how often have I Zoomed with my professors and I have their cell numbers, and if I'm like, hey, I don't know this behavior report, or this kid's doing this, or just a second opinion, they are always they're just, I can't say enough about how great they are.
Yeah, your academic experience, I mean, it's not completely different than mine, but it is
it's pretty
significant.
Yeah, it's been, I had a hard time in high school. I really struggled. I knew I wanted to go to university, but I struggled. I got to university, my first degree in music, where their whole plan is to break your soul.
Turn you into a music zombie.
Yep. My second degree in education changed my life. It really did. It changed me. The people were great. It was awesome. And then going into this master's has been just I really thought I'm 40 with kids and working, and I'm can I do this? Yeah. I'm so glad I did.
I'm glad you did too.
It's been really, really good. And again, like I say, I don't know that this would be the experience for everyone in every school, but this university is awesome. And their online program is absolutely fabulous. And for an online program, for me, I feel like I got way more one-on-one time and discussion time. And I've made friends with people in my classes. I think it's been different than yours, just comparatively.
Yeah, I haven't made any friends in my classes. There's a couple people that I've communicate with occasionally over the courses, but nothing outside of my course.
Yeah.
You now have Facebook friends that you interact with.
I don't know. I think it's been really good, and networking, and they're really positive on getting you to be involved and to do more, and it's been really great. I really enjoyed it. And I will say I'm actually not looking forward to graduating and being done.
I, on the other hand, am looking forward to graduating and being done. I have one semester left. Just started my last semester. Next week, I will have all my minimum practicum hours met. As far as patient contact or client contact hours go. So the rest is all kind of gravy and easy to fill from here on out, which is a nice place to be at that way.
Yeah, because you don't graduate till December, so
yeah,
having all this in place now is
especially since we're heading into winter and not having to commute 3.5 hours to Edmonton on Tuesdays if I don't want to will be nice.
Yeah.
Or if I don't have to, I guess, is another
way of looking at it. I think it's like, I think it's a big load off of our mind. So I'm taking a class right now on research methodologies. It's the only class out of my field of
out of your regular field of study.
Yeah, I mean, I have like 2 other like electives where you could go into like leadership or transitions or behavior, and so then I took behavior, but it's still in my specialized area of education study. This one is like everybody who does a master's at the university has to take the research methodologies course. It's driving me batty because I'm used to being in my little cohort of, as you put it, overachieving autistic people who have everything done ahead of time, and you can open the modules ahead of time and work ahead and get everything done. And this course, this 8-week course that I'm in right now,
you're more in my wheelhouse now.
God, it is horrible. I do not enjoy it. It's like, yeah, no. I like when you can see it all and you can ask questions before, and everybody that I'm used to working with, we always have stuff posted early and you're talking to each other about stuff and emailing back and forth. And like this one, I'm in with a bunch of people who are doing their masters because they're finished their sports careers and they have to do something and want to work at a university in sports. And I feel like I don't have tons in common with them.
And you're prejudiced against them.
I am. They shouldn't be. But it's just hard because like our changeover for the week is Monday and everything starts fresh on Monday and things have to be posted on the discussion board by Saturday. I feel like I'm behind because I didn't post until today, Thursday. I'm 3 weeks into this class. I'm always the first one to post. And it's Saturday before anybody else posts anything. And it's due on Saturday. And it just it gives me anxiety. I don't enjoy it. Anyway, what are we talking about today? That is not related to this.
I think that actually is a good lead into it because we've had this conversation a couple times since I rather profoundly came up with the idea. I don't know if I actually came up with the idea, but in conversation with my supervisor and myself, we kind of co-created an idea that I hadn't heard of before, but I have found useful in therapy with people to kind of to annoy Keith of Blackthorn Concepts to be intentional about actions. And so I thought maybe we'd talk about the conversations that we've had about the predator-prey relationship and taking intentional action versus reactive action.
You're a predator.
I mean, not predator in that way.
It just got weird.
To be clear, before we start this conversation, I am not advocating for any sort of predatory actions.
There's not a predator-prey situation going on here. I'm just overtired.
So the metaphor that I've been using, or the example that I've been using in therapy with clients and stuff, is like watching a nature documentary. You see the lion creeping up on the gazelle, and you kind of see the difference between the two in how they act and how they react. The predator is typically very intentional with its actions and very intentional with its movements, whereas the prey animal is usually very reactive, right? Like it's eating, that's its intentional thing, but every time there's a strange noise or every time there's a strange smell or something like that, it pops its head up and looks around. And then from a survival aspect, that prey reactivity is a good thing because you don't have the time to assess whether a snapping stick is a snapping stick or if it's a predator 5 feet away about to jump out of the bush on top of you and kill you.
Yeah.
Whereas a predator doesn't have that same concern, so it doesn't have to be reactive. The problem is when you fast forward into our modern day society, our brains still have that predator prey fight flight response hardwired into stress, because deep down your reactive brain can't tell the difference between cortisol that's being released because your boss yelled at you and cortisol that's being released because you're running away from a predator.
I'm always running away from predators.
In your mind, yes. That's why you have anxiety.
No, but in a very real sense, I think that we deal with that on like a younger and younger level now, because there's so much stimulation and overstimulation and worry and change and talk about things that kids never used to hear about before. I mean, just global events, right? Like,
yeah, and that's where you get like climate anxiety going on because of the constant fear mongering around climate change. Not that it's not a thing, but there is communication around so many things is done poorly and creates stress.
And I think some people like are more predispositioned to stress, maybe based off of family history, what your ancestors had, because we know that like generational trauma, right? And so there's definitely some of that goes on and can be accounted for in that, I think. But I think on whole, like, there's just a lot of anxiety in everything. Mm-hmm. And I think that what you were talking about the other day about not allowing our brains to be bored to process that anxiety is a massive problem. And I think that coincides with like the studies and research that I've read on the anxiety level is higher with kids who have more screen time, especially at younger ages and different things like that.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I was going to actually talk about or wanted to talk about with you.
Look at me remembering something you shared with me.
Yeah, it's almost like you're smart.
Almost. You're the smart one here.
Yeah, clearly. That's why you're the 4.0 and I'm the 3.9.
Oh, how do you live with yourself?
I tell myself that it's not a 3.9, it's a 3.92.
Sorry. Can't believe this is a conversation we're having.
That was a sarcastic mean laugh. Anyway, so I was reading, I could tell you, but then this podcast would take a turn.
Continue.
Might do better on the ratings, I suppose.
Wrong kind of audience. Go move forward.
That's not the audience we want. You've totally derailed me.
It's not hard.
Well, sometimes your comments are like, I'll be walking down the street and all of a sudden get hit up in the side by like a freight train. Completely, speaking of derailment. But anyway,
Robert on trail to derailment the other day. Sorry.
Speaking of being derailed,
yeah.
Back to the subject at hand. I was reading some stuff by Robert Sapolsky.
Why don't we say subject at foot?
Because I don't read books with my feet.
Fair.
So the subject was in my hand.
I'll take it.
Robert Sapolsky.
I feel like it's reaching, but sure.
He's a neuroendocrinologist.
And could you explain to those of us not as smart as you what a neuroendocrinologist is?
Well, why don't you tell us what a neuroendocrinologist is, since you're smarter than me?
No, this is your podcast. I'm here as your guest, asking for help and enlightenment, and you're refusing to share.
A neuroendocrinologist is a person who studies neuros and endocrines.
This is not a... Okay, I can't.
A neuroendocrinologist is somebody who studies the effects of endocrine hormones on the brain.
And what are endocrine hormones?
Well, your endocrine system is your hormone producing system.
Okay.
So neuroendocrinologist is a hormone specialist for brains. Brain hormone specialist.
So are brain hormones different than other hormones?
In some ways, yeah. There are specialized hormones in your brain that don't occur in the rest of your body. But for the most part, most hormones are kind of omnipresent.
Annoying.
You're never mind. We'll move on this before we get derailed even further. So Robert Sapolsky talks about how stress, specifically cortisol, creates dendritic changes in your hypothalamus. So your dendrites are if you picture a nerve, everybody kind of has the same picture in their head of like a tree trunk with a bunch of branches, right?
Sure.
Okay, a neuron is like a tree trunk, and on one end is all the roots, and on the other end are all the branches. So those are
yes, but in my head I go beyond that to like never mind. You don't want to know. Continue.
Oh, pray tell. People will be interested.
No, like those like spiky ball, the ball that you like touch and goes, and all your hair stands on end.
Like a
A Van de Graaff.
Like a Van de Graaff generator?
So in my mind, a neuron is like that. And it like shoots them out and goes inside your body.
Except they don't just shoot out, right? Like it's really more like a wire than a
Not in my body.
That would explain a lot, actually. Anyway.
Let's be clear. I'm made different.
So prolonged...
I'm in denial on that. Just moving on.
I'm moving on. Prolonged exposure to cortisol particularly creates what's called dendritic pruning. So basically trims off lots of your dendrites.
Excellent.
Which are the nerve endings.
Good.
And so the end result of that is then you are more likely to experience stress or respond negatively to stress.
Excellent. This sounds wonderful.
So stress is a self-feeding cycle, basically, is kind of what he said. But the interesting part of it is because we have an increasing understanding of brain plasticity now. Like before, when we were children, this is going to make us sound not very old at all because it wasn't that long ago. But when we were children, brain plasticity wasn't a thing. People thought, once you matured, your brain stopped developing and that was it.
They also thought it was okay to bring your kid home in a box and give them alcohol to make the baby stop crying.
Well, that was before us. The alcohol part was.
Grape water.
I never had grape water.
Well, I didn't either, but lots of kids our age did.
Did they?
Yes.
That explains a lot. Actually, on the alcohol thing, this is a...
You're the one derailing this train.
I am derailing this one because this is a soapbox for me. FAS, fetal alcohol syndrome,
can continue to occur.
Can continue to occur all the way until the brain is done developing.
Which is in your 20s.
Obviously, the effects aren't quite as dramatic during the teenage and young adult years as it is in utero. Like in utero, FAS is usually much more severe, but that is only because it is more likely to hit a major development period in the brain. If a adolescent kid, like a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old, happens to be drinking when they hit one of those periods where their brain is flush with development, it can be damaging to them as well. So parents, don't let your kids drink because it's bad for them. And if you drink,
many ways,
alcohol is bad for you too, as science is proving. But you do you make your own choices on that one.
I need all my brain cells.
I for one need all of my brain cells. Anyway, so brain plasticity, because of brain plasticity, you can regrow those dendrites, basically. It's actually a very simple way to do it. And the way that they're determining is, instead of being reactive, it's being intentional.
Okay.
So the more intentional you are with your actions, the more you begin to change the...
So let's say something super irritating was happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
Finish your thought, because...
No, continue on.
Right, I was just going to say, so something super irritating is happening to you, and you're annoyed. Like someone chewing with their mouth open at the table.
That doesn't annoy me at all.
No. What do you do instead of being reactive? Do you do?
Very intentionally yell at my son and tell him to close his mouth.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Good parenting.
I don't yell at him.
Do you use a frustrated tone?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I ignore it. I'm not saying that it's always easy to be intentional.
No, I'm just saying, like, in this instance, what would you say to somebody? I'm just using that as an example because one that happens fairly frequently.
Not in our house, though. That's in other people's houses.
Someone else's house. Yeah. So what would you
suggest?
Somebody
else who goes by the name of Andy or something like that, because Andys are weird.
Andy.
Andys.
Okay. What would you suggest? How would you suggest because I think that's a hard part for me, is like, it's great to say it, but how do you do it? It's an easy thing to change these steps. Great. But no, it isn't. Not, actually.
It isn't easy. It isn't easy. And that's the wonderful thing about being a therapist, actually, is because I'm not the expert in your life. So I don't have any suggestions to say, this is how you should do it.
So what do we pay for your degree for?
For me to be confident in my ignorance.
You're already confident in your ignorance.
That was hurtful. That's almost one of those ones I should mark and edit out.
Sorry. I'm really sorry.
But I'm not going to edit that one out because people will laugh. This is my
first week back full-time teaching, and there's a lot of stress because I could be going on strike like any day. And yeah.
To answer your question,
too much cortisol.
They're very much too much cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
We have a plethora of cortisol
Mm-hmm.
currently. Actually, that's what a plethora is. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. I have watched Princess Bride multiple times.
It's not Princess Bride.
Oh, no, it isn't. It's that other movie. The Plethora of Pinatas.
Yeah. Do you have a plethora of pinatas?
I can't believe I thought that
guapo.
said Princess Bride. That needs to be edited out.
Three Amigos.
Yeah, I know. I know what it is. I have the picture of Steve Martin in my head. I just said the wrong thing. This is how tired I am because I never misquote Princess Bride.
Well, you still didn't misquote Princess Bride. You misattributed.
Yeah, but I don't do that because that's like my favorite movie ever.
Anyway, so the starting point is actually to be okay with losing your cool at first and recognizing that is what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
Right? Because there's all sorts of phrases, but name it to tame it, right? Like you can't begin to change your behavior until you recognize that you are doing the behavior. So the first part of to changing that or to doing something about it, and this applies to whether you're reacting to somebody chewing with their mouth open or an obnoxious coworker or annoying
somebody
students
cuts you off.
or somebody cuts you off in the road.
Yep.
Well, it says record, but I didn't push start, but it is uploading. So we must be recording again.
Okay.
So my computer crashed.
Much like my brain.
So what were we talking about?
I just said my brain crashed,
Your
so
brain
I'm really
crashed.
not the one to ask.
So it was being intentional, recognizing that there is something that you need to change.
Yes.
That's
acknowledging it first, but not
acknowledging
necessarily
it first.
like beating yourself up that it's still happening.
Yeah, because then I mean, people when they're setting goals around changing behaviors, they often set too big of goal. They I am going to be 100% on this, and then when they don't, then they fail, and then that just reinforces the negative cycle because you failed at the behavior that you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're trying to eliminate or whatever.
Maybe that's why you should read the magazine called Rethinking Behavior.
Exactly why you should.
Sorry, continue.
Wonder if they have a marketing budget for their free magazine. They probably have some sort of advertising in it then. Even though if it's online, it's still not free to produce.
Yeah. There's been some really good articles I've read. I quite enjoy it. Yeah.
So I know there is a few teachers who do follow us and some psychologists as well, actually. So that is maybe I'll send me the link and I'll put it in the show notes. Your article won't be in it yet, but
no, hopefully it'll be in the winter one.
Anybody who's interested can look it up. So yeah, recognizing and then being okay with failing right off the bat, because that's what I found so far talking to a lot of people is they really do know what they need to know to change.
Yeah.
And once you bring it to their attention, and I think that's where it comes down to it is, so Robert Sapolsky, he believes that there is no such thing as free will. So his whole, it's all okay. Reactions
who he is, yes.
Coming down through all your training, because there is some research that shows that your activities centers in your brain, like your action centers in your brain, actually light up in functional MRI prior to you consciously making an action, if that makes sense. And so lots of neuroscientists believe that that's evidence that there is no free will. Free will is an illusion. You're actually just reacting. However, I feel like the evidence to the contrary is in his very statement that being intentional dendritic changes.
Right.
Like if you're always reacting, then how do you become intentional? There has to be some point of free will in there. At least that's my opinion. I could be wrong. But anyway.
I think there's a point in many people's lives where you really are just living in reaction state. But I don't think you're there all the time.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of where it comes down to why I feel
I don't want to be there all the time.
Well, and nobody does, because I think if you're in a reactive state, then you're always kind of you're like the prey animal that's always just under stress, right? You're rushing around, you're putting out fires, you're running away from the stress, whatever it is. You're not you're not, sometimes the intentional action is the same as the reactive action.
I feel like if you're believe that you truly are in a reactive state all the time, then you also must believe that you can't change.
Yeah.
Or be in control of any of the behavior. So then nothing is also wrong.
Yeah.
Which is a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, you go down the whole moral debate of there is no, if there's no free will, then there is no true right or wrong. And that's, Sapolsky he is also an advocate for changing, for not holding criminals morally responsible for their acts.
Lovely.
And instead focusing on, which is, I don't agree with that. However, he does, believes you should focus on rehabilitation and prevention, which I do agree with.
But if you believe that you're always in a reactive state, then I don't understand why you would bother trying to change the behavior.
Well, because and that's where I think that argument falls down.
I do. I think that for me, it falls apart there. That doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that if other people are reacting in a good way and these people are reacting in a bad way doesn't compute to me, especially when you say intentionality then reverses the changes. But anyway.
But yeah, there's a few glaring things.
I'm sure smarter people than me have debated it. Obviously not smarter people than you because you're the 4.0 person.
Enough of this.
You not like it?
No, I don't. It makes me feel very uncomfortable.
And that's because you're reacting instead of accepting my intentional compliments.
Probably.
Anyway, we should probably wrap up.
100%. I'm exhausted. So let's wrap up before I get more reactive.
Yeah. And maybe to kind of prime people for our next conversation, I think you brought up the default, now I'm getting tired, default mode network. So the default mode network in your brain and boredom.
Yeah.
I think that kind of ties into this too for me, because I feel like because people aren't comfortable with being anxious or bored, being bored is a source of anxiety now and a source of stress.
Yeah.
And so we fall into a reactive state. I am bored. I'm going to avoid boredom. So I'm going to pull out my phone. Like even if you're just standing at a street corner for 10 seconds, you see it all the time. People pull their phones out or they're just walking across the street with their phones, and boredom is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Which becomes problematic because then your default mode network in your brain isn't processing things the way it should be, which then you can go down the whole rabbit hole of existential questions that we normally answer for ourselves at that point. Anyway, so yeah, reactivity, being a prey animal, heightens sensitivity to stress and makes stress more apparent for people. And intentionality, or deliberately choosing to do actions, decreases your sensitivity to stress.
Right.
And you don't have to be, and it's not even a intentionality in the face of high stress. Intentional actions of any sort,
right,
change your neurons. And so something that I've been experimenting on with myself, and again, I'm not 100% successful at this, but I've noticed I
wait for the paper, Andrew Hatch, self-experimentation.
I should write it actually because I think it's interesting.
You should.
It's a interesting experiment to try. And I encourage everybody, and maybe this is a good opportunity to gather some data. I would encourage everybody who is listening to this, most people, your first actions upon waking up are you wake up, roll over, and pick up your phone. That's a really common thing. And you check your notifications or you doom scroll or whatever. I have been trying to...
You were not successful at that this morning.
I was not. And as a result, my day was worse than it was when I am successful at not picking up my phone and doing something else intentionally first. So I roll over, turn off my alarm, and then when I'm successful at this goal, I get up and go to the bathroom, start making breakfast, whatever. But I intentionally don't touch my phone until later. And I find that when I do that, I start my day with an intentional action, all of the other things that potentially cause problems for me with being reactive and doom scrolling and wasting time and blah 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 are less likely to affect me.
Yep.
But
Agreed.
anyway,
That's for the next discussion, except you've already talked about it now.
no, that's the conclusion for this discussion.
Oh.
Default node network, that's talking the next discussion and how we process information. Anyway, so thank you everybody for listening. Do you have any parting words of wisdom?
No. My wisdom is tapped.
Your wisdom is spent.
My wisdom is go to bed earlier than I do.
And on that bombshell, thank you for listening. Every episode of this podcast exists because a few folks decided it was worth supporting, not with just their ears and their attention, but with their actual hard-earned cash. And that's very humbling. And I want to take a moment to thank the founding fathers of the Workshop Therapy podcast, the first 5 who got this show on the road and who earned their permanent thank you. Mr. Matthew from Argiano Serio, Brad of Brad's Customs, Keith of Blackthorn Concepts, Eric of Overall Makerworks, Brandon of Tectonic Creations. I'd really like to thank you. Your support really does mean more than you realize. You've helped keep the lights on, the mics running, and the message moving. I'm also especially honored to welcome the newest member of the podcast family, Mr. Dave Desjardins of What Dave's Doing. Probably messed up your name because I'm not very good at those French last names, Dave, but thank you for stepping in and saying, yeah, this is worth it. It's really easy to scroll past a lot of these, come support me on Patreon ads these days, and choosing to actually stop and invest in something, especially something that I'm a part of. It really is a big deal. It really says something about the importance of community, creativity, and mental health. So if you're listening and this show has helped you feel seen or sparked a thought or helped you feel a little less alone or given you a little bit of boost to do something a little bit better, please consider supporting on Patreon. If that's not in the cards right now, then that's okay. You can support the show by sharing it, sending it to a friend, post a clip, tell someone something about it that hit a chord for you. And that's how we grow, and that's how this work reaches people who really need it. So as always, if you've got a question or a story you want to share, send it to questions@workshoptherapy.com. I read them all, and that's not very hard because you guys don't send in very many, so I'd appreciate more. I mean, you can even jump onto ChatGPT and ask it to ask me a question, then we'll see. But anyway, read them all. Thanks for being here. Really, really appreciate it. And let's get on with the show.